So last night's eulogies started off with titles, right? So we had the favorite grandchild, we had the tallest grandchild, we had the okay, we had the most handsome grandchild. So my title in the family is, to someone who is anak bongsu. I'm the youngest child of my dad. So as my brother Alan said last night, yeah, he has 4 children. So if you wonder among the siblings, why my hair is darkest among the four of us, that's because my elder sister Elsie is 11 years older than me. Then my brother Alan is 10 years older than me. And then my sister Irene is 8 years older than me. And then the story I've heard is that my dad wanted a second son. Then I came about. So that's how I came about. And then I have not introduced myself. My name is Oscar. So Oscar is the name I would have been given if my siblings had their way. So because at that point in time, they had either watched too much of Sesame Street, which had Oscar the Grouch. They had watched too much of $6 Million Man, which had Oscar Goldman, or they had their alphabets, A, E, I. So next in the order was an O. So I could have been an Oscar, but fortunately my dad had wisdom there, and I was named Albert. Fortunately, yeah. So I wanted to share a couple of thoughts about that. And when I did the video about Dad and his life, I did that over many, many years. I think since 2016 or 2017. The one thing I noticed was that Dad was very comfortable in front of the camera. He wasn't shy. Some people just freeze up in front of the camera, but Dad wasn't shy at all. And that made production of that video very easy. Because, when you grow up much younger than the rest of the kids, you don't get some of the stories. So that was when I understood how my dad came to Singapore, where he landed in Singapore, almost the same place where Stanford Raffles landed. And then, what his early life was like. So that helped me to understand his life. And in the process, I learned about that. And then one more thing about that is that Dad did accompany Mom to church. So for many years, Dad followed Mom to church. After that, he stopped going. I think partly because he fell asleep in church. Not because the pastor is boring, no offense. But he had this tendency to fall asleep. And I think Mom was nagging at him. Hey, don't sleep. I think the common theme that came out last night was Mom was nagging at Dad. So I think Mom was nagging at Dad. And then eventually Dad decided not to go. But as Pastor Mikhail said last night, there's a video that he has seen of Dad accepting Christ. So what was not mentioned is that I think at least 2, I'm not sure who, I think there were 3 persons in the video that went to Dad consistently to engage Dad. Okay, now I can't see this, so I must take off my glasses. 3 persons consistently went to engage Dad to get him to accept Christ. One is Reverend Jason, who is here. So he engaged Dad. In that video, there was Reverend Jason, there was Deacon Yao. But I'm not sure who was holding the camera.
Pastor Chi.
Yes, Pastor Chi. So I think thanks to them, Dad accepted Christ. And that's how we have confidence that we will see Dad again in time to come. So I spent a lot of time with Dad in the last couple of years. So one thing is that Dad had 2 Toto buddies. So Dad liked to buy Toto. And then he liked to buy Toto. And then it was either Irene, my second sister, or me. So sometimes I end up with the duty because Dad likes to go out to buy Toto. And then Mom would nag at Dad to say, don't go out. And then Dad would not listen. He wants to go out on his own. And then Mom would call me, hey, your papa want to go out. And then I must talk to Dad to say, don't go out. Sometimes I scold him, but he sometimes insists. So sometimes I tell him, it's okay, I'll bring you there. So I became the Toto buddy to, on the weekends, go over to Old Airport Road to bring Dad to the Toto shop at the market and then come back. So that was part of my sort of duties to bring Dad for his Toto. There are many more stories about how he buys his Toto. That was quite funny. So, but yeah, so that was part of the spending time with Dad. But the last few years also, I was sort of Dad's weekend buddy. when mom was hospitalized or after mom passed away, sort of the one that whether bring mom to hospital, brought mom over to our place for lunch, then we had people coming over for lunch, brought dad over to the airport. So sometimes it was just to get him out of the house so that he would shower lah. But yeah, but sometimes really to get him out of the house. So yeah, so a lot of time was spent with dad lah. But slowly he began to slow down. He stopped wanting to go out. And then when I stayed at home with him, it's quite amazing to see him. If you ever see how my dad operates, so he's got glaucoma now, so he cannot see properly. But he operates at home by memory. So he knows where every handle is, he knows every switch, where every switch is, he knows where the rack is. So he'll move around, even if you can't see, he'll feel, he'll know where the light is so that he'll switch it off. If you've seen the video, you'll see that he actually goes around the living room. The last thing he'll do is to close the windows, close the door, off the lights. So I think why the nurses in the hospital were very confused when my dad kept telling them, switch off the light, switch off the light. So that was what he always did. Yeah. So for many years, I asked myself if dad was a successful man. Then, he came to, in his story, he came to Singapore at the age of 16, with almost nothing, right? He got a job working at a police station. He went for English tuition. He worked for the British Army. And then he ended up in specialist shopping center and worked at Hotel Phoenix, what we normally know as 313 now. So that was his life. But if you look at his legacy, 4 children, father of 4, 8 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, I think he's left a good legacy. He's very much a successful man. So with dad's passing, it also marks a generation change for our family. Mom and dad were like the glue that held the family together. And with them gone, sort of the responsibility falls on us as the family. As I think it was Elizabeth that said, the council of elders the council of elders of the 4 kids So when you hear of funerals can make and can break families. There can be conflicts. I think in this family, I think some people find it strange that there's a lot of laughter in the funeral. The funerals we've had with mom, with dad, it brings out the best in the family. Everybody works as a team. Everybody puts in their effort, the time and action, and we work through the issues. And I think if mom and dad had a wish for the family moving forward, it would be for us to continue this spirit of cohesiveness and togetherness. But I think that's by no means given that, from time to time there will be issues among us, there will be disagreements, but I think the onus is on us to work it through and maintain this cohesion. I think we can do it, but we need the effort to do it. So in closing, I'm finishing there. In closing, I would say that the last gift that dad gave to me was a day trip to Geneva. He made me fly 16 hours to Geneva, land in Geneva for 9 hours and came back. So that was, I think, that's his last gift to me. I received news of dad's passing when I landed in Geneva on a Saturday morning. And I was traveling back. On my social media, I shared a video of dad when he was in hospital, the second hospitalization, and that was, to me, a special moment. That was sort of the last time where, because of his confusion, his deafness, his eyesight, he couldn't really see who he was talking to and so on. But that was the only time that he could hear me and responded to me. And that's a rare moment that, since he got COVID, and it's something that I'll cherish. I will miss that. I think we will all miss that. But I think we are comforted that we will meet him again in time to come. So, thanks.